everyone! Welcome to my virtual class. I am Mom J and I'm your teacher for today. Happy learning!
Ang lesson natin sa araw na ito ay Triangle Congruence Postulates. When are two triangles congruent? Two triangles are congruent if their vertices can be paired so that corresponding sides are congruent and corresponding angles are congruent. Let's take a look with these two triangles. We have triangle bat and triangle man. So triangle bat is congruent to triangle man. So let's prove that these two triangles are congruent. So i-pair po natin siya. Ayan. Kung napapansin nyo, yung kanyang mga vertices ay pantay. So the pair of vertices in these two triangles, so B correspond to M, A correspond to A, and T correspond to N. At kapag kaganyan, na paired yung kanyang mga vertices, ibig sabihin, meron tayong corresponding parts, corresponding sides, saka corresponding angles. So, kunin natin siya. So, these are the corresponding congruent sides. So, segment PA is congruent to segment MA. Segment AT is congruent to segment AN. Segment BT is congruent to segment MN. So, these are the corresponding congruent angles. So, angle B is congruent to angle M. Angle A is congruent to angle A. And angle T is congruent to angle N. So, meaning, si triangle bat is congruent to triangle man. So, they are, these two triangles are congruent. So, let's start with the SAS, side angle side congruence postulate. If the two sides and an included angle of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding two sides and the included angle of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So let's have triangle cat and triangle dog. So in the figure, segment CA is congruent to segment DO. Angle A is congruent to angle O. Segment ET is congruent to segment OG. So then, triangle cat is congruent to triangle dog by SAS congruence postulate. So meaning, yung dalawang sides na ating triangle sa triangle cat at dalawang sides dun sa triangle dog, congruent po. And then, yung included angle nila, which is si angle A sa triangle cat at si angle O sa triangle dog ay congruent. So, using SAS congruence postulate. Let's have another example. So, triangle HAY and triangle DEY. So, in the figure, segment HA is congruent to segment DA. Angle H is congruent to angle D. So, find the missing part. So, triangle HAY is congruent to triangle D. So, we will use the SAS congruence postulate. So, what do you think is the missing part in this triangle? In these two triangles? Since we have one side common sa kanilang dalawa, or congruent sa kanilang dalawa, and then meron tayong isang angle na congruent silang dalawa, so anong part yung nawawala? Okay, so ang nawawala nating part ay side. So, saan kaya natin siya ilalagay? Dito kaya sa part ng HY at DY, or dito sa AY at EY? The answer is Yan. So, yan yung ating side. Yan yung ating angle. So, kulang po tayo ng side. So, dito po tayo maglalagay ng ating missing part. So, segment HY is congruent to segment DY. So, using SAS congruence postulate, triangle HAY is congruent to triangle D. So, ASA, angle, side, angle, congruence postulate. If the two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding two angles and an included side of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So, let's have an example. So, we have triangle cat and triangle dog. So, in the figure, angle C is congruent to angle D. So, meron naman tayong markings na makikita. Segment CA is congruent to segment DO. And angle A is congruent to angle O. So, meron tayong dalawang angles na congruent sa dalawang triangle na to at isang included side na congruent sa kanilang dalawa. So triangle cat is congruent to triangle dog. So, by ESA congruence postulate. So, angle, side, angle. So, let's have another one. So, triangle HEY and triangle DEY. So, find the missing part. So, in the figure, angle H is congruent to angle D. Angle Y is congruent to angle Y. So, triangle HAY is congruent to triangle DAY. So, by ASA congruence postulate. So, we have A, angle, S, side, and angle. So, what will be the missing part? So, we have angle, we have another angle. So, the missing part is side. So, saan kaya tayo maglalagay ng side? Kay HA ba? At DA? Kay AY, or HY, DY? Alright, so ang sagot natin ay kay segment HY at kay segment DY. So, HY is congruent to DY. Yan, dyan po tayo maglalagay. Kailangan pag-asa congruence postulate, dalawang angles na common ang dalawang triangle or congruent yung dalawang triangle, then isang included side sa dalawang triangle. Yan. So, kailangan included side. So, ibig sabihin, nasa pagitan ng dalawang angles. So, yan po yung ASA congruence postulate. Another one, so SSS or side, side, side congruence postulate. If the three sides of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding three sides of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So, let's have an example. So, triangle cat and triangle dog. So, may mga markings naman na kayong makikita dyan. So, in the figure, segment CA is congruent to segment DO. Segment ET is congruent to segment OG. Segment CT is congruent to segment DG. So, then, triangle cat is congruent to triangle dog. So, by SSS, congruence postulate. So, kung napapansin nyo, yung tatlong side ng ating first triangle, which is triangle cat, is congruent doon sa tatlong side ng ating triangle dog. So, using SSS congruence postulate. So, let's have triangle H, triangle D. So, find the missing part. So, in the figure, segment AY is congruent to segment AY. Segment HY is congruent to segment DY. So, let's give the missing part using the SSS congruence postulate. So, let's say that triangle A is congruent to triangle D using SSS congruence postulate. So, pag sinabing SSS, side, side, side. So, meron na tayong dalawang sides. So, kulang pa tayo ng isa pa. Isa pang side. So, ibig sabihin, sa figure na yan, ang side na kulang or ang nawawala ay segment HA is congruent to segment BA. So, kailangan tatlong sides ng ating first triangle ay congruent doon sa tatlong side ng ating second triangle. Ayan po. Ayan. So, let's have SAA, side, angle, angle. Congruence theorem. Sa ibang libro, ang nakalagay dito ay AS. So, sabihin, pag sa, if two angles and a non-included side of one triangle are congruent to the corresponding two angles and a non-included side of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So, magkaiba po ito sa asa. Sa asa po kasi, included side yung ginagamit. Pag saa po, non-included side. Ibig sabihin, nasa labas na po siya ng dalawang angle. Yan. So, we have triangle cat at triangle dog. So, may mga markings tayo dyan. So, in the figure, segment 80 is congruent to segment OG. Angle C is congruent to angle D. Angle A is congruent to angle O. Then, triangle cat is congruent to triangle dog. So, by SAA congruence postulates. So, kung napapansin nyo, yung dalawang angle at isang non-included side ni triangle cat ay congruent sa dalawang angle at non-included side ni triangle dog. So, yung pagsaa, dalawang angle at isang side, non-included side. So, dapat nasa labas po siya ng angles. Okay, so let's have triangle cat and triangle dog. So, in the figure, segment CT is congruent to segment DG, angle C is congruent to angle B, angle A is congruent to angle O. So, by using SAA, so kung napapansin nyo, yung isang side natin ay nilagay natin dito sa CT, tsaka sa DG. Kanina, nandito sa AT, tsaka sa OG. Yan. So, pwede rin ang ganyang sagot. Basta dapat, yung side ay nasa labas ng dalawang angles. Pag sa congruence postulate. Yan. So, we have triangle HAY and triangle DA. So, meron tayong markings na nakikita. So, let's find the missing part. Ano kayang nawawala? Meron tayong isang side at isang angle. Both triangles. So, in the figure, segment HY is congruent to segment DY, and angle Y is congruent to angle Y. Then, triangle He is congruent to triangle D by SAA congruence postulate. So, meron tayong side, meron tayong angle. So, ano kayong nawawala? So, side, then angle. So, sa palagay nyo, saang part kaya tayo maglalagay? So, kulang natin ay angle. So, tatlo yung ating angles dyan. So, yung isa merong markings. So, saang part kaya tayo maglalagay? Kay A ba? Or kay H or D? Alright, so ang sagot po natin ay angle A. So, angle A is congruent to angle A. So, using SAA, congruence postulate. So, yun po yung nawawalang parts. Ayan. Kailangan kasi yung ating side ay nasa labas ng dalawang angles. Ayan. Ayun nga, subukan nyo nga ito. So, number 1. So, triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CBD. State what information is required in order to know that the triangles are congruent for the reason given. Ayan. So, kayo na lang po yung maglalagay ng marking. So, sa letter E, SAS. So, ibig sabihin, dalawang sides ng unang triangle ay congruent sa dalawang sides ng pangalawang triangle at isang included angle. So, letter B, asa. So, dalawang angles at isang included side. Okay, first triangle, kailangan same lang din ang sa markings doon sa ating second triangle. Letter C, SSS. So, yung tatlong sides ng ating first triangle, kailangan congruent sa tatlong sides ng ating second triangle. So, dapat yung markings nila ay pare-parehas. And letter D, SAA. SAA. So, isang side, non-included sides. Ibig sabihin, nasa labas siya at dalawang angles. So, magkaiba po yung asa sa SAA. Sa asa po kasi, yung side natin ay nasa loob or nasa pagitan ng dalawang angles. Pag sa nasa labas po yung ating side. So, sana may natutunan kayo sa araw na ito. Yun lamang po.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time!